I'd like to welcome you to our study in the book of Philippians. Today we're going to be in Philippians, the second chapter, verse number 17. Now let me just bring you up to speed. In verse number 16, the Apostle Paul basically is saying to the Philippians, but I think he also is preaching to himself, and he says, just don't quit. Hold fast to the word of life. And the reason why we hold fast is because there's going to be a day where we're going to stand before Christ. The day of Christ, which is also a reference to the Bema seat judgment. And he says, I don't want to have run in vain, and I don't want to have worked in vain. And that brings us to verse number 17. But even if I am being poured out as a drink offering upon the sacrifice and service of your faith, I rejoice and share my joy with you all. What's the Apostle Paul saying? A drink offering. Now, because we don't do animal sacrifices, at least hopefully you're not doing animal sacrifices, we don't really understand this. So we have to go into the understanding of what a drink offering is. I would like to read to you from Barnes' Notes. Now, if you're a student of the Bible and you don't have the collection of Barnes' Notes, you need to get a collection of Barnes' Notes. But this is what Barnes writes. The word which is used here properly means to pour out or to make a libation, and is commonly used in classical writers and in connection with sacrifices. It refers to a drink offering where one who was about to offer a sacrifice or to present a drink offering to God, before he tasted of it himself, he poured out of it on the altar. And it is used also to denote the fact that when an animal is about to be slain in sacrifice, wine was poured on it as a solemn act of devoting it to God. So the Apostle Paul says, I'm being poured out. I'm being poured out as a drink offering. In other words, my life is an offering. My life is a sacrifice, but my life is being poured out. In other words, my life is being poured out to show that something is consecrated, something that is dedicated, something that is holy. So he says, but even if I am poured out as a drink offering upon the sacrifice and service of your faith. Now notice Paul's not talking about the sacrifice of his faith. He's talking about the sacrifice and service of the faith of the Philippians. Wow, what a powerful, powerful testimony. What a powerful, powerful verse. The Apostle Paul realizes that his life is being poured out. In other words, his life is showing to those around that this sacrifice, that the sacrifice of the Philippian church is holy and acceptable, that it's consecrated. Wow, think about that. Let me ask you a question. Those of you who are in leadership, do you consider your life to be a drink offering for the sacrifice of those that are around you? Are you pouring out yourself, or allowing yourself to be poured out is probably a better way of putting it, to show and to testify of the lives that your ministry is affecting? That's what Paul's talking about. He's not talking about his faith. He's talking about the service of the faith of those who were in Philippi, those who were standing persecution, those who were standing ridicule and all types of things like poverty and things that were being brought about because of their faith. So Paul says, I'm a witness. My life is a witness. It's being poured out, showing that this sacrifice of yours and this service of your faith is genuine. And then he goes on and he says, I rejoice. Share my joy with you all. What's Paul saying? That in the middle of this sacrifice, in the middle of this service of joy, he says, I am rejoicing with you there in Philippi. I'm rejoicing with you. I see the genuineness of your faith. My life is a testimony now being poured out because of the genuineness of your faith. And he says, it's causing me to rejoice. It's causing me to have this inner joy, this inner contentment, this joy that's unconditional. And then the Apostle Paul says this, I share my joy with you all. What's he saying? First of all, he's telling us that joy is something that we can share. Now here the Apostle Paul is sharing this joy with the people in Philippi. He's sharing it with them. Verse number 18. You too, I urge you. What's he saying? He's saying, this is something I'm going to urge you to do. This is something I really, really, really want you to do. Rejoice in the same way. Rejoice that your work is not in vain. Rejoice that you're not running in vain. Rejoice in all that God has done in your life. Maybe you're going through trials today, and you know what? Understand this. You can have joy. You can rejoice because the joy that God gives is unconditional. And then he ends verse number 18. And I share your joy and share your joy with me. You know what? The Apostle Paul is going to send Epaphroditus to Philippi. And Epaphroditus is going to come back to the Apostle Paul with a report. And you know what? That report is going to bring the Apostle Paul joy. Think about that as you go through your day. God bless you. Thank you for watching. Join us again tomorrow.